It is because I understand the significance and the importance that our ports play, not only to the economy, but also in the creation of jobs for South Carolina. But I also want you to notice across my shoulder here the USS Yorktown, because it houses the Congressional Medal of Honor winners, men and women who have put their lives in harm's way to protect this country and protect the freedoms and liberties that we all have enjoyed. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize several individuals who are near and dear to me and dear to my heart. And of course, that's my mother and former First Lady Carroll Campbell. Next to her is my brother Mike Campbell, former candidate for Lieutenant Governor. And next to him is my beautiful bride-to-be, Tracy Amon. Also, I'd like to thank the hundreds of people who have already joined this campaign, but I want to single out a very important group. Johnny Bellamy, the president of the Myrtle Beach Republican Women's Club. Kenneth Dilks, the second vice chairman of the Charleston County Republican Party. Tom Marchand, a former Republican State House representative. Warren Sloan, the third vice chairman of the Charleston County Republican Party. And the former chairman of the Horry County Republican Party, Al Terrell. Ladies and gentlemen, our country is in trouble. We have record high unemployment in this country. While everyone has been worried about the economic growth and the need for good paying jobs and the financial security of their families, politicians in Washington are spending our nation further and further into debt. While we have been worried about the extremists who try to attack our nation, the politicians are debating whether or not to close a prison that houses these terrorists. We have old-style elected officials who claim they are fiscal conservatives. But when it comes to taxpayers' money, the money that the hard-working people of South Carolina have earned, these career politicians are just wasteful as the liberals that have been running around Washington for all these years. The Tea Party protest right in our backyard proved that South Carolina is concerned about the direction that this country is taking and concerned about the out-of-control spending. Spending driven by people we ourselves put into office. We should be worried. We have career politicians who are more worried about building their pension plans than building up our communities. We have a president and Congress more interested in appeasing their liberal constituency as opposed to working for real health care reform, accessible coverage, and lower cost. As someone who has worked to improve health care and to fight for a cure for Alzheimer's, and who sits on a board of a medical company, I know we must improve care, not harm it. We have a president and Congress working overtime to spend us further and further into debt. A debt that my children and your children and our grandchildren are going to have to pay back. Although I have avoided getting involved as a candidate in the past, opting instead to play a role behind the scenes, the time is now when I must stand up for my children, my state, and my nation. It is easy to sit back and complain. It is easy to ignore the tough road of getting involved. But we cannot ignore that our economy in South Carolina lags behind other states. We cannot ignore that we face terrorist attacks. We cannot ignore that health care costs continue to rise. And we cannot ignore that Washington has gone crazy in their spending habits. And we cannot ignore that part of the blame belongs within my own party. I'm taking the tough road. I am going to stand up for the people who feel like they have not had a voice in Washington. After months of testing the waters, talking to people throughout the 1st Congressional District, listening to the needs and concerns of my neighbors, I am taking, and after taking the first few steps to raising money, I am making it official. My name is Carroll Campbell, and I am running for Congress. Like my father, I believe that sometimes we must make the tough choices, and we must fight for our principles, even if that means taking on the establishment. We need a rebirth of the conservative spirit. We need to walk the walk while we talk the talk. As an entrepreneur, a small businessman, and a member of several charitable organizations, I know we need strong new business leadership in Washington to promote South Carolina not only to the rest of this country, but to the rest of this world. I understand that sometimes you have to challenge and change the old ways of thinking. I know we need to change the status quo in South Carolina, even if it means doing it within my own party. You can't say that it's time to throw the bums out and then go vote for your local politician who continues to bum a ride back to Washington based on bailouts, earmarks, and running for office for years. We deserve better than Henry Brown. Mr. Brown voted for the $700 billion bank bailout that led to AIG scandal and put senior citizens and taxpayers of South Carolina on the hook for Wall Street. Mr. Brown voted for the farm bill that doles out $5.2 billion annually to many individuals who don't even farm. He has been cited multiple times for sending out hundreds of thousands of dollars in mailers just to tout himself. And Mr. Brown has been cited multiple times for promoting earmarks. The tactic to use stuff to stuff pork onto bills in Washington. He will argue that he is bringing home the bacon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly how this country has gotten in the trouble that we've gotten into. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been a Wendy's restaurant owner for years. And when I look at Mr. Brown's record, I have to ask, where's the beef? Unfortunately, Mr. Brown's beef is nothing but pork. Doing the same old thing and expecting a different result is known to some as the definition of insanity. We need to change, and we need a new way of thinking. That is why I am running for office, to reclaim the mantle of a party in need of new leadership. If we keep electing the same old backslapping old-style politicians, we are perpetuating the same bloated system of government that we as conservatives stand up against. The 1st Congressional District deserves someone who will hold their end of the bargain. As your next congressman, I will give the voters the leadership they have been missing in Washington. I will lead from the heart and not a personal agenda. I will lead based on principles and not popularity. I will fight against big government spending and the spending in liberals in Washington, and not join them on their spending spree. I will push for new fiscally conservative ideas based on tax cuts that will spur our economy and support our jobs. As your next congressman, I will fight for smaller, simpler, fairer taxes. I will use my decades of experience as a businessman and years of experience on the Ports Authority Board to promote jobs in South Carolina and opportunities for this state. And as your next congressman, I will work hard to keep South Carolina values intact and protect the sanctity of life of the unborn. You will know that I am fighting for you in Washington. You will not have to read it in a newsletter from me telling you what I've been up to. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all and thank you for coming. I want to thank the many people who have already joined this campaign before it even really officially started. I tell them and I tell all the voters of South Carolina, especially the ones who know we need new leadership, my run starts today. God bless you, and God bless the state of South Carolina. Thank you.